The day money disappeared. Imagine waking up one morning, walking to your bank, standing in line with hundreds of people, only to hear 3 words that change everything. The bank is closed. No explanation, no apology, no timeline, just locked doors, armed guards, and panic spreading like wildfire. People screamed. People cried. Some fainted. Some banged on the doors with their fists, convinced their life savings were trapped behind cold steel walls. And here's the terrifying part. This wasn't a movie. This wasn't fiction. This actually happened. In 1929, banks across America shut their doors, and millions of ordinary people lost access to their money overnight. Teachers, farmers, shop owners, families who had done everything right. Savings frozen, paychecks gone, businesses collapsing. And yet, some people survived. Not just survived, they adapted, rebuilt, and quietly figured out how to live without banks. Today's video is about them. Because here's the uncomfortable question we rarely ask. If banks closed again, would you know what to do? Would you panic? Would you freeze? Or would you know how to survive when money suddenly stops working the way you expect? Stay with me, because the answers hidden in 1929 are more relevant today than ever. Before we go further, do me a quick favor. Like this video so more people can learn these forgotten lessons. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and after subscribing, ask yourself, have I really prepared for uncertainty, or am I just hoping things never change? And to everyone who has already subscribed, thank you. You're the reason this channel keeps growing, and I don't take that lightly. Now take a breath. Because once we step into 1929, there's no going back. Chapter 1, When the System Broke Overnight. Here's what most history books skip. The Great Depression didn't start with poverty. It started with trust. For years, people trusted banks blindly. They believed their money was safe. They believed institutions were solid. They believed the system was permanent. Then came October 1929. The stock market crashed, but that alone didn't destroy lives. What followed did. Banks had been gambling with depositors' money. When panic spread, people rushed to withdraw their savings. But banks didn't have the cash, so they did the unthinkable. They closed. No withdrawals. No explanations. No safety net. Over 9,000 banks failed in just a few years. Imagine being a shop owner with cash locked inside a bank you can't access. Imagine being a parent with children to feed, and your money is suddenly just numbers on a page. People stood outside banks every morning, hoping the doors would open. They didn't. And here's the part that hits hardest. The government didn't step in immediately. There was no instant bailout. No emergency alerts. No social media updates. People were on their own. So what did they do? They adapted. Fast. Chapter 2, Life Without Banks. How people actually survived. When banks disappeared, something unexpected happened. Communities came alive. People stopped relying on institutions and started relying on each other. Barter became king. Money was scarce, but skills weren't. A mechanic fixed shoes in exchange for food. A farmer traded eggs for medical help. A teacher gave lessons in return for firewood. People asked a new question every day. What can I offer instead of money? And suddenly, value had nothing to do with cash. Families grew their own food. Backyards became farms. Empty lots turned into gardens. People who had never planted anything learned fast, because hunger is a powerful teacher. Children helped. Neighbors shared seeds. Entire streets worked together. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't easy, but it worked. Women became economic anchors. This is rarely talked about. Women stretched meals, repaired clothes, reused everything. Flour sacks became dresses. Old coats became blankets. Households survived not because they earned more, but because they wasted less. And here's something important. They didn't wait for things to go back to normal. They created a new normal. Pause for a moment. Ask yourself honestly, if money stopped working tomorrow, what skills would you trade? What could you grow, fix, teach, or build? Drop your answer in the comments. You'll be surprised how powerful that reflection is. Transition. What separated those who survived from those who didn't wasn't luck. It was mindset. And in the next section, we're going deeper into the mental shift that allowed ordinary people to endure extraordinary collapse. Because survival in 1929 wasn't just about food, it was about thinking differently when fear took over. Chapter 3: The Mental Shift That Saved Lives. When the banks closed, the first thing that collapsed wasn't money. It was identity. People had spent their entire lives defining themselves by stable systems. I have a job. I have savings. I have a pension. I did everything right. And overnight, all of that vanished. Some people never recovered, not because they lacked food or opportunity, but because they couldn't mentally let go of the old world. They kept saying, "This can't be happening. It will be fixed soon. I'll wait it out." Waiting became dangerous. Because survival in 1929 required one brutal realization. The old rules no longer applied. Those who survived accepted reality faster, not emotionally, but practically. They asked better questions. What still works? What do I still have control over? Who do I trust now? They didn't waste energy mourning what was gone. They focused on what remained. Pride was a luxury no one could afford. One of the hardest lessons was humility. Men who once wore suits stood in soup lines. Business owners worked manual labor. Former bosses took instructions from neighbors. And here's what history quietly shows us. The ones who swallowed their pride survived longer. Because hunger doesn't care about ego. Those who refused help often suffered the most. Those who accepted help and gave help created invisible safety nets. Emotional resilience became currency. Hope wasn't something you felt. It was something you practiced. Families created routines to maintain sanity. Fixed meal times. Shared stories at night. Simple celebrations, even without money. Children still laughed, not because life was easy, but because adults protected joy wherever possible. And this is important. They didn't deny fear. They just didn't let fear decide everything. So let me ask you something uncomfortable. When life becomes uncertain, do you freeze, complain, or adapt? Because history shows us something clear. Adaptability beats intelligence every time. Transition. By now, you might be thinking, okay, mindset mattered. Community mattered. Skills mattered. But here's the big question. Where did the money come from when there was no money? Because somehow, people still traded. Businesses still existed. And small forms of wealth still moved quietly under the radar. Let's talk about the hidden economy of survival. Chapter 4: The underground economy nobody talks about. When banks shut down, Official money dried up. But value didn't disappear. It simply changed form. Cash was hoarded, but trust was spent. People stopped trusting paper money. Instead, they trusted food, tools, skills, relationships. Local currencies appeared. Handwritten IOUs circulated. Barbers issued haircut credits. Grocers allowed tabs based on reputation. Your name became your credit score. If you were known as honest, reliable, and useful, you survived better. If not, doors quietly closed. Skills became wealth. Here's a truth that hits hard today. People who could do things did better than people who only knew how to buy things. Carpenters, repairmen, midwives, blacksmiths, teachers. They didn't need banks. They didn't need loans. They had human value. Even teenagers found ways to contribute, delivering goods, fixing fences, helping farms. Everyone mattered. Shared living saved families. Many families moved in together. Grandparents, cousins, neighbors. Privacy disappeared, but survival increased. One stove fed many mouths. One fire warmed multiple families. One roof reduced expenses. Loneliness was replaced with cooperation. And here's the uncomfortable reflection. We've built modern lives around independence. But survival has always depended on interdependence. Pause and reflection. Right now, ask yourself, who would you rely on if the system paused tomorrow? Backhand index pointing right, who relies on you? Drop that thought in the comments, not for likes, but for clarity. Because the next chapter dives into something deeper. Not survival, but rebirth. Because some people didn't just endure the Great Depression. They emerged stronger. Chapter 5, From Survival to Rebuilding. How Scarcity Rewired People. Something strange happened after the initial shock wore off. People stopped asking, how do we get back to how things were? And started asking, how do we move forward from here? This shift mattered more than money ever could. Because once survival became routine, once families figured out food, shelter, and basic stability, the human spirit did what it always does. It adapted, and then it planned. Small wins became everything. Rebuilding didn't start with big dreams. It started with tiny victories. A repaired roof. A stable food supply for 1 month. A reliable barter partner. A garden that finally produced more than it consumed. Each small win restored confidence. And confidence is powerful. It turns desperation into discipline. Chart decreasing scarcity created financial discipline like nothing else. People who lived through 1929 never forgot it. They saved obsessively. They avoided debt. They questioned risk. They valued liquidity, not luxury. Many future business leaders and investors were shaped by watching their parents survive this era. They learned something that textbooks never teach. It's not how much you earn, it's how long you can endure. Waste disappeared. Impulse spending vanished. Planning became second nature. People learned to delay gratification, not because it was trendy, but because it was necessary. And here's a question worth sitting with. If abundance vanished tomorrow, how disciplined would your life become? Transition. By now, you might think, okay, they adapted. They rebuilt. They learned discipline. But there's one truth that history whispers quietly. Some people didn't just survive the Depression. They rose because of it. Let's talk about them. Chapter 6. The ones who rose when everything fell apart. While millions struggled, a small group quietly positioned themselves for the future. Not through greed, not through exploitation, but through preparedness and patience. Time favored the calm. When panic ruled the streets, the calm thinkers stood out. They didn't rush. They didn't gamble. They observed. They bought assets when others sold out of fear. They invested in skills when others gave up. They built businesses that solved real problems. Food supply, repair services, transportation, housing. Needs never disappear, only the way they're met changes. Opportunity hid inside chaos. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Economic collapse doesn't eliminate opportunity. It reshapes it. People who understood this didn't chase fast money. They built slow resilience. They asked, what will people always need? What problems will exist no matter what? How can I serve when systems fail? And in serving, they earned trust. And trust became long-term wealth. Knowledge became the ultimate hedge. Those who read, learned, and studied trends quietly gained an edge. They didn't have money, but they had understanding. They saw cycles. They recognized patterns. They knew that collapse was temporary, but preparation was permanent. Let me ask you something honest. Are you preparing for the future, or assuming stability will last forever? Because history is clear. Those who assume are always surprised. Deep reflection pause. Imagine this scenario. Banks pause withdrawals for 30 days. Digital payments slow down. Panic spreads online. What would you do in week 1? Would you react emotionally or strategically? This isn't fear, it's awareness. And awareness is power. Relationships. Reduce unnecessary dependency. Think long-term. Not because disaster is guaranteed, but because prepared people sleep better. Final call. Subscribe with purpose. If this video made you think, if it challenged your assumptions, if it forced you to look at stability differently, then stop for a second. Have you subscribed? If you already have, thank you. You're part of a community that thinks deeper, plans smarter, and refuses to live blindly. If you haven't, this is your moment. Subscribe not just for content, but for perspective. Because the world doesn't reward those who scroll mindlessly. It rewards those who learn early and act wisely. If you stayed until the end, I truly appreciate you. It tells me you're not here for noise, you're here for meaning. More powerful videos are coming. More lessons history forgot. More ideas designed to sharpen your thinking and strengthen your future. And as you move forward, remember this. Dream boldly, act fearlessly, and let your vision outlive you. Until next time, stay prepared, stay curious, and stay ahead.